Welcome to episode 5 of the Work to Live podcast, where I speak with those who are working to live and not simply living to work. In this episode, I speak with Matthew Khoury, founder of LOKE Digital and Aston Club. He's been working for a number of years in Australia to try and crack the mobile payments industry with varied success. It's the stories of his ups and downs and triumphs and challenges he's faced which makes this such a great podcast. He speaks about what it was like to self-fund LOKE Digital to then raising over $1.5 million from various investors for Aston Club. He's incredibly honest in talking about how his investors felt when Aston Club didn't quite hit its mark and required a pivot, and also why he felt it wasn't everything it was meant to be. For anyone interested in the startup world of sales, pitching, raising capital, and expanding a business of 2 to over 50 employees, this one's for you. Cool. So, Matt, can you tell me a bit about like your brief personal background and how you started and how you founded LOKE?
Yep. So I've got a long line of hospitality and retail in my through my family. So I grew up in the industry, running and managing places and owning my own places. I actually studied at university doing construction management and economics, and got my honours completed in that, and was a project manager for years. I saw that it didn't really suit what I was looking for in life, wasn't actually making me happy. So I decided to pretty much quit my job, sell everything that I own, and bought a one-way ticket to go traveling. And I essentially went for about a year backpacking on my own until I ran out of money completely. And I was in Bolivia and received a phone call from one of my school friends, and he said, "Hey Matt, I've been watching what you're doing. I really think you'd be a great business partner. Why don't we start this company and move into the digital space?" And I mean, it was quite unfamiliar territory with me, but it sounded like an exciting opportunity. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I flew back to Adelaide, where I'm born, met up with my mate at his parents' house. We're sitting in the backyard, and he cracked open a bottle of wine and said, "Are you in?" And I said, yep, let's do it. And we started from there. So we founded LOKE in Adelaide. I think it was like late 2010, like the end of the year.
Yeah.
And we were working out of my mate's parents' spare bedroom, off of one computer, and pretty much kneeling on the side of the bed, making cold calls and trying to start the business.
Yeah. What was like originally meant to be? What was the original plan?
It was a digital agency, so we were targeting all different types of industries, helping them move into the digital age, setting up websites, doing SEO, setting up their social media accounts. But we started essentially calling businesses and providing them with free online tutorials, basically doing analysis of where their business currently is and where it should be. And from there, we built the gain and trust of these businesses across, legal, accounting, manufacturing, wineries, hospitality, and we started to build a good reputation for ourselves within the industry.
Yeah, awesome. How were you feeling about the whole starter tech business at the time? Like, were you confident? Were you a little bit uncertain?
To be honest, I didn't really know that it was like a tech business that I was building.
Mm-hmm.
I've just always come from a line of businesses, and I knew that these businesses needed websites and set up social media accounts, and we did that. And I guess it was more fee for service work. It wasn't until we saw a repetitive pattern in the industry of what was lacking for brick and mortar merchants, where we decided to actually invest in our own product. So we came up with an idea and backed it ourselves through sales. Then when we released it to the market, it just took off. And from there, we started to build our tech business.
Yeah, okay. So can you tell me about like Loke was bootstrapped, wasn't it? That was funded by you guys with your own money?
What we did is essentially we created a PowerPoint presentation of what our idea was and what it was going to do for the business. Then we went around to our target market, and after maybe 50, 60 meetings, one of them said that they believe in our vision and then paid us to build the product for their business. And so that was the first check we received, and we used that money to get a subcontractor to start building the product. While that product was being built, we went out to other potential clients and said, hey, this business has signed up. This is also beneficial for your business. Would you like to buy it? And so then we started to get maybe another 10 clients which signed up prior to the release of our product. And so with that money, we ended up building the MVP, the minimal viable product of our platform, which we released to market.
Yeah. Okay. How, because you were going around pitching, how was your sales skills at that point? Were you okay with it, or was it a little bit daunting?
It was definitely daunting. So I had never had a sales background. My business partner actually had a sales background, but he was really good at legal and accounting, and probably managing the engineers and the designers. So he was doing that side of the business. So he wanted to keep me in product sales, marketing, and more so the strategic side of the business. So we worked together to develop my skills. At the start, I would pretty much call any single person that I knew and ask them if they were interested, or if they knew someone that was interested in working with us. And I was nervous. So I used to use big words that weren't necessary, talk too much, go on tangents, and focus purely on selling a product. And then over the years, after, you get, thousands of rejections, you start to record your pitches, you start to write down scripts to consolidate your pitch. You start to realize what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And I guess the best thing that, I could give an advice when it comes to sales is don't go in there selling your product. What you're doing is you need to sell a solution to their business that allows them to make more money. And if you do have a solution that does that, then it's easier to convert the sale. They're not going to relate to your product. They're going to relate to their problem. So you need to go in, ask them a series of questions about the pain points in their business, and then you need to find those holes and plug those holes using your platform as the solution.
Yeah. I guess that sounds kind of like the old saying, don't sell features, sell features, sell benefits. Like, what can it do for that person?
Correct.
Yeah. So you build up Loke, you're going around, you're making sales. Where to from there? What happened next?
So we were focusing primarily on the hospitality industry. We loved the industry. We understood it very well, and we understood their pain points. So we started selling to pubs, bars, nightclubs in Adelaide. And we pretty much signed up all the iconic ones. And our solution wasn't cheap. It was quite expensive for the time. We essentially created the industry for white label applications to the hospitality industry, rewarding customers for engaging with the business. So if you came in and checked in via Facebook, you would earn points. If you took photos and shared it to Facebook with your friends, you would earn points. If you brought a customer into their business, you would earn points. And so it was really the ones that were social media savvy that would adopt our product. And so we actually successfully acquired most of the key hospitality venues in Adelaide. And we said to ourselves, well, what do we do from here? The market's small. So we said, stuff it, let's just go to Melbourne. So the next day we booked a car, we found an Airbnb place, we drove over to Melbourne, and we started selling in Melbourne. Immediately, we started to acquire key hospitality groups, which then said, we led to knowing that we need an office here. So we secured an office in South Melbourne, a little tiny place, probably like 60 to 80 square meters. From there, we got most of the key clients in Melbourne. Now, it wasn't easy. It takes a lot. It takes persistence, a lot of cold calls, a lot of meetings. I was meeting with maybe 50 venues a week. And we started to build a good team, started to get good traction into the industry in Melbourne. And then from there, a couple of mates from Adelaide, they contacted us and said, they were mates through mates. They contacted us and said, hey, guys, we heard people are trying to invest in your company. We want to invest, but we want to work for you guys. And these guys had successful businesses.
Yeah.
And so we said, you know what, why don't you come over and see us tomorrow? So they flew over. We were at our Airbnb place in the backyard, and then we started talking with these guys, and we got along so well, a lot of laughs, similar ambitions, perspectives on life. And we said, stuff it, like, you know what, guys, let's do this, come into our business. So they went back to Adelaide, they sold their companies, they put some money into the business, and they came to work for us. And one of the guys, Tom West, essentially went with me traveling around Australia, expanding the company into new regions. And Tom Boo stayed with my other business partner in the office, building out the team and making sure that the product was delivered.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So how many employees did you have at that point?
We got to, by the time we did our tour of Australia, we came back and probably had about, I would say, 15 or 16.
Yeah, wow. So I guess you had a pretty good cash flow at that point.
Yeah, well, at that point in time, we were doing really well. We didn't really have any competition with what we were doing. And what we had was so innovative that it was actually quite profitable for us. So we knew how to be frugal too. Tom West and I were, sleeping on friends' couches. We would, we would try and get, the hospitality venues that we're working with to feed us. We didn't have any money at that point in time. We were investing everything into the company. So we were living on credit cards and keeping it as cheap as possible. And by the time we came back to Melbourne, we had all of these staff and we didn't even know who they were. So it was quite.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really weird but exciting feeling.
It's cool when you come across like a good amount of cash, but you're still in that cheap mind frame, like live cheaply. Like I know like a lot of uni students, as soon as they finish uni and get work, they don't spend any of their money because they're just used to living on toasted cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was in 2012, wasn't it? Like around that time?
Yeah, that's right.
I remember the nightclubs, like Cloud9, they had their app and like it was really, really popular. Everyone was like doing the whole check-ins and tags and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So then shortly, or it was a little bit after, wasn't it? You founded Aston Club.
Yeah. So, that was a bit of an interesting journey, that one.
Okay.
A lot of lessons learned there.
Tell me about it.
So just before we founded Aston Club, I went to the US to try and expand our company into the US. So I was living in San Fran, LA for a few months. And because we were running out of our key target market to sell to, because our product was quite specific in who it would benefit.
Yeah.
And so we did sign up a whole bunch of clients through the US, through Colorado, California, a couple other areas too. But what was happening was it was super expensive to enter a new country. And because we had the mindset of bootstrapping and never had taken investment before, that was, I guess, the first lesson I learned about tech business. If you're going into a market that's much larger than yours, you need to make sure you're properly funded and have the right partners to do so. So even though I could have stayed there and built the business, it would have been a slow process. So I decided to come back to Australia, and we had a bit of a strategy session with my business partners and decided what we want to do. And what we decided was, let's expand our market within Australia first in who we can target, because we have such a good foothold here and such good credibility, it will be easy for us to do so. Now, we looked at what we required in our product to expand and chase new clients that would not only be in the F&B industry, so i.e. your multi-site chains, your fast food chains, but also into traditional retail. So that could be grocery, it could be fashion, convenience stores, etc. And after doing a big survey of our clients, what we realized was that to get into a larger market, what we needed to do was we needed to reward customers, not only for their social actions, but for their spend. Because at the end of the day, these businesses are concerned about how much revenue they make. So we need to reward the customer for spending more at their business. So we had a decision. We could raise money into LOKE, which was a profitable entity, or we could start a new company, raise money into it, and then build out our payment infrastructure, which would help us get this new market. And so we had this client who was with us since the beginning of when we got to Melbourne. And it was a hospitality group which was owned by Chris Morris, who's the founder of Computershare, one of BRW's rich listers. And they really loved what we were doing and said, guys, we want to be involved. And we said, all right, well, we don't need your money in this entity. Let's start this company called Aston Club. It will be a mobile payment application, which is used across any brick and mortar merchant, essentially across retail and hospitality. And then we can also use that payment infrastructure to license to other companies so that they could embed mobile payments into their applications. And so LOKE would be the first client of that. So we raised in total, I think at the beginning it was about 1.5 million.
Oh, wow.
$1 million was from Chris, and 500 or 600 grand was from family and friends and some AFL players who we knew. And we built the technology. Now, it could have been clear to us where to invest into the area that was making us the most amount of money, which was in white label applications. But we wanted to test the consumer market, so build an aggregator application, which worked across multiple merchants, where simply put, a user could download Aston Club and pay at any business. And we released it to market. We did a massive campaign. I'm not sure if you saw it. We're giving out, $50 to every new user across specific venues.
Yeah, it was huge.
We got, I think it was top 5 in the App Store for most used app during that period, and we're getting good growth at that time. But what we quickly found was that we couldn't sustain the business model. It was getting super expensive to acquire the end user to our brand, to acquire the business, to accept payments from users. And then we had a loyalty platform which was backed onto it, which rewarded customers with, lifestyle benefits such as, it could be accommodation at a boutique hotel, airline points. We partnered with beer brands, any leisure brand, essentially.
Yeah.
And so we needed to acquire these partners to and manage it. And so it became quite a expensive business model, and we had to make the tough decision. We were getting to a point, we had about 50 staff across the two companies.
Yeah.
And we're burning a few $100,000 a month.
So you were doing really well with LOKE, getting good amount of money from that, but kind of bleeding early on from Aston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we're coming to the end of our cash in Aston Club, and we needed to make a hard decision. Do we keep investing in this business model that burns a lot of money, has, a large opportunity to make future returns? Or do we invest into an area that we know is high in demand, generates immediate revenue, and provides, a solution to the business's problem? And so we ended up canning the Aston Club consumer-facing application. We had to make the hard decision. I think we got rid of about 25 people from the company, and then we reduced it down to a team where we could now refocus our strategy on creating Aston Club as a B2B service which powered and aggregated payment types within, say, a developer's mobile application.
Okay.
So, for example, LOKE was the first client of Aston Club. So when you go to, say, the Messina app, which LOKE built, and you need to register a payment type to spend and earn points, you can use Visa, MasterCard, Amex, PayPal, and we've also partnered with Google to release Android Pay, and we're also liaising with Apple about putting Apple Pay in there at the moment. And so what we do is we aggregate any payment type within the brand's app, allowing the consumer to use any of those methods. And when they pay with the Messina application, that payment goes through to their point of sale. So we also integrate to the point of sale, creating that end-to-end process. And so together, Aston Club and LOKE are able to provide white label mobile payment and loyalty applications that integrate directly into the POS that allow for in-store payments, order ahead, loyalty, and peripheral feature sets.
Is that space, like from a technical point of view, the mobile payments area, is that a tricky space to work with? Is it quite difficult?
Yeah, it's super difficult.
Yeah.
One reason is that explaining to people your point of difference is very hard, because when you say mobile payments, it could mean Uber, it could mean Deliveroo, it could mean white label order ahead companies, it could mean, buying off of eBay from your phone. So when you say the word to someone, they don't get it.
Yeah.
So to create or carve out your niche and then be able to sell that is challenging. Now, the good thing is the market is starting to mature. People are so familiar with paying through their mobile phone now that they're starting to understand that it's inevitable that we move away from cash and we move away from actually holding physical cards in our wallet to make a payment or earn loyalty. The good thing is that with all the banks, all the major financial players, all the major tech companies are all releasing their version of mobile payment. Samsung Pay, Android Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal released it. The banks are releasing it. And so as they come into the market, merchants start to adopt these payment types and users start to familiarize themselves with these payment types. We become stronger as a company. It becomes much easier for us to effectively communicate what our offering is, our point of difference, and therefore acquire the client.
Yeah, 'cause I remember when Aston Club was launched, and it was only a couple of years ago, people were still weird about even putting their credit card details into their phone. They just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, we were a bit ahead of the bell curve, but I guess that's the price you pay of innovation. And if you have enough belief in what you're doing and enough money to fund it, and you're persistent and you can ride those ups and downs of the company, you can and most likely will be successful. But the struggle of a tech entrepreneur in Australia is that we don't have a lot of access to funds.
Yeah.
So you really need to you need to be strategic about your play in this market.
I was just gonna say, like when Aston Club didn't go the way that it maybe shouldn't have, how were you feeling about that at the time? Like, were you stressed because you had investors with it? How was that for you?
Yeah, so you're disappointed in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to foresee the mistakes that you will make. And you don't want to let down people that have invested in you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the lesson you learn from it is that when you first get into business and you create or invent an idea, you become emotionally attached to that idea. And everything that happens, you feel that you are responsible for. And you want it to work. It essentially becomes your child. And when you're that blindly in love with your child, you can't see from a third person's perspective the correct decisions that sometimes you need to make.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to fail. And so you might emotionally want to invest more and put your own pride before the correct commercial decision. And so after we went through this major transition, I knew to myself that I wasn't going to give up. I knew to myself what we had built was super valuable and that could be commercialized. But trying to communicate that to other people can be very difficult because they don't see what you see and they are not living in your world. So you can only communicate to them about the challenges and the opportunity that could be seen. But what I learned through this is once I felt like, we were at a point where I could potentially lose everything that I've been building, I realized that it wasn't everything. That wasn't the important thing in life. The important thing in life was that I am healthy, that I am still willing to try and succeed and look after myself, but my friends, my family, people around me. I still wanted to make a difference in this life beyond how much money I had, and knew that I could achieve that because even without the business, I still had everything around me. Nothing actually changed. And I had all the experience that I needed to start making successful decisions from that point. And so I realized that I need to emotionally disconnect myself from the business. I needed to look at it as a mechanism, a tool that could be used to make change, to drive success, but to empower other people to make the decisions that would drive the business forward. Because even though you may think you have the right idea or decision that is best for the company, that may not be so because you are so blinded by your emotional connection to that business.
Yeah, and I guess like you, because you're going out and you're selling it and you're pitching it, 5 times a day for months, you've convinced yourself, you've talked it up, you keep saying, my product's the best, no, you need to buy it, and it would be difficult to think otherwise.
That's right. And so it takes a major instance in your life to start rethinking what you've been doing and how to change. And so I really appreciate what we went through. And from there, we had a massive challenge to turn around the company or the group of companies now and get it to a point where we could see it really making a change and driving success, which we now have been able to achieve.
Yeah, awesome. I guess hindsight 2020, it's probably a little bit easier, but what do you think was the reason the Aston Club didn't live up to its expectations?
There's different things. One is the maturity of the market.
Yeah.
2 is the commercial viability of the business model. We were just taking a transaction fee as the revenue source, and that does not provide you short-term revenue. It provides you long-term revenue. You need processing tens of millions of dollars a year just to make it semi worth it. And so, properly looking at that financial forecast and that revenue model, you need to determine whether or not you're ready to make it a highly invested vehicle, or whether or not you want it to generate short-term cash flow and maybe reduce the amount of investment you get. So it was the maturity of market, it was the business model in general, and then there was the product. But the product with any business is constantly evolving. So you can't get it right from the beginning. You need to get something out to the market to get feedback from the parties that you're dealing with to then refine the product. So I think those three factors are probably the biggest parts to it.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, like, if anyone could have had a crack at this particular product, it was you and Loke. Like, you're in the space, you're in the payments area, you knew what was up.
Yeah, that's right.
So after that, what happened after Aston? What did you do after that one?
So what we did was we had to basically we went to the market and we said we did another survey of Aston Club clients and the end users, and essentially with all the feedback we got, we've rebuilt our product, we refined our processes, we refined our third-party integrations with point-of-sale companies to a point that we knew that the product would work effectively as a aggregator of payments integrated to the point of sale. And LOKE was the first client. And so we started to update all of LOKE's clients' applications to reward for payment through the application and then also for social actions. And that process cost us millions of dollars and took like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And so during this period, we weren't necessarily rolling out new clients. We weren't acquiring clients as fast because, we were building a new product. And so growth started to plateau. But I knew that at the end of this tunnel, there would be that light, that blue sky that we could see. And so we started to not focus on the individual hospitality merchant, the pub, the club, the restaurant, the bar. We wanted to acquire McDonald's or KFC, a client that could give us access to 1,000 merchants at one time. That way it reduces our cost of acquisition and it gives us distribution into the market at a much faster pace. And so during that build process, we did the same thing as we did when we first released the company. We, built a presentation, we built a prototype, and we started pitching to these guys. In the first 12 months, we signed up, 7 retail chains, which gave us access to about 170 merchants, which, as you can imagine, signing up 7 clients is much easier than signing up 700 clients.
Yeah.
And then from there, we needed to roll out those clients. So it took us 6 months to a year to start rolling out those new clients, but also to transition all of our existing clients. And so it got to this year where you're now starting to see our new product go into the market. And that is the reason why now we're getting so much attention for the company. Because, you may see the Messina app come out and 20 articles written about it, but I see a whole bunch of hard work and challenging times to get to that point. And so for us, it's super relieving. Messina got number 2 under food and beverage for most downloaded application. It got 1,000 credit card registrations per hour on the first day. Like, it was going nuts because people are now used to mobile payments. They don't want to hold cards. They want to transition with the times. They're familiar with it. So in a way, all of the lessons we learned, all of the millions of dollars we invested into the business has reached a point in time that is actually right for the market. And so now we have, these really good clients that we had signed up and have now rolled out, which are getting, great traction of their products. And now we're signing up larger clients. So, we were selected as NAB, National Australia Bank's innovation partner to build their digital wallet, NAB Dash, which their plan is and may be to roll out to their merchant network our technology. I could have only dreamed of that. They were like the ideal client. So now we're focusing on how to give our product and the technology we built from Aston Club and LOKE to a partner or a client that has distribution network like that. Yes, McDonald's may have 1,000 sites. Great, we get 1,000 clients. NAB might have 40,000 merchants it can roll out to. And so all of a sudden, we now are dealing with enterprise clients that gives us a much larger distribution network. And now we're dealing with, really large fast food chains, the largest one being 260 sites in Australia alone for that one client. So we've really got a reputation now of, knowing what we can do, how to deliver and making sure that we get the conversions that they require. So the next step for us is we just set up an office in Singapore, and we have partnerships with MasterCard, Google, PayPal, and these guys are essentially advocating their digital wallet partner as we only take over the Australian market but enter a new market. So Asia is the next step for us, and then concurrently in the background, we have been establishing partners throughout the US, Africa, Middle East, and the UK.
That's so good. I'm excited. Like, it's cool to hear that you went through not a great time with Aston Club, but it sounds like the clouds have moved away and it's all coming back up.
Yeah, that's right. And the shareholders are, starting to really appreciate what we've been able to achieve and where we're going and the results we're starting to get for them. So, really happy about the results.
Yeah, how was it with your shareholders? I mean, because you had investments in Aston Club. Did they stay on board when you were like, all right, we want to pivot, we want to put this into something else slightly similar but not the exact same? Were they happy with that?
I'm not sure if I'm able to answer
or disclose.
However, if I was them, I would definitely have been frustrated.
Yeah.
Someone's taken my money. I've invested into a vision, a business plan. That business plan has taken, a huge pivot. But what I could only hope is that those investors, they're successful business people already. Yeah. They know that you need to pivot in business to succeed. And they know that the ones that can pivot, nearly fail, continue to go and build success from that are the ones that are truly going to achieve their goals.
Yeah, I guess if they want guaranteed return, they can put their money into the stock market and get a solid 6%. But if they want to gamble it a bit, they know the risks. They know they might lose it all.
That's right.
When you pivoted, was it like a lingering thought? Like, how long did you mull on the idea of pivoting? Was it kind of there for like a little while, or was it early on you thought, oh, maybe we should do something else with it?
It was the point in time that we were nearly out of money in Aston, and we needed to make a pretty serious decision as to, do you sell the majority of your company and own a little bit, for the sake of making this business plan work, or do you have to take a drastic measure and rethink the whole business model?
Yeah.
So, it was, in regards to time, I think it was around 2 years ago we made that decision.
Yeah. Okay. Just for a change of pace, how's your work-life balance? Because you got a few employees. It seems like it's quite an established business now. Do you still get to have a lot of time to yourself and do what you want to do?
Yeah. So when I learned to emotionally disconnect, I really understood the importance of that work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just put 100% into your work and the tasks you were trying to achieve, not only does it come at a cost to your personal relationships, but it comes at a cost to your mental state as well. That much pressure on one person to succeed is enormous. And what you realize is that if you're just focusing on the tasks at hand, which never end, you can create as many tasks as you want, you're not able to sit back and just think and imagine and create. And so what I did was I said, all right, when it comes to a Sunday, just don't work.
Yeah.
Just literally try your hardest. And it is hard not to check your emails. Don't write any documents. Have a plan. Go out with your partner. Go see your family. Go see your friends. And that time really helps. When it comes to, you get home late at night, whatever it is that you do, you go to the gym or, you've got your extracurricular activities. You come home at 9:30. Learn to switch off. Spend time with your family. Spend time with the people that you love, because you will grow out of those relationships too. And I really like that, you have on your website, like that you don't, your philosophy, you don't live to work, you work to live. And you don't, I'm a strong believer in the fact that you don't live to work,
Yeah.
And I respect that you have that philosophy also.
Yeah. I felt it like when you're saying, when you ran out of money with Aston, you were like, this could fail. This is not going so well, but I still got my family. I can just start another business. It's all going to be okay. And it's not, I don't know, you get in a little bit of a bubble. Like when you care about something so much, you make it your world. It can seem like the end of the world, well, when it's over, but it's really not.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah.
If you wanted to start another business, you could, right? And you've got all these lessons and contacts, and so it's much easier. If you want to go work for someone, which if you're a true entrepreneur, you probably won't, but you get paid a shitload of money. If you want to go overseas, you get a job super easy. You wouldn't have to go work in a bar anymore. And so it actually opens up your opportunity, and life becomes a lot better. But if you are a serial entrepreneur, immediately you already have a business plan or an opportunity that comes to you, and you can easily chase that if you want.
Yeah. What would you consider your biggest strengths? Like from a personal point of view, as far as entrepreneurship goes?
I think that my biggest strengths are persistence.
Yeah.
Just hard work, relationships, knowing when people are better at their job than you, and making sure that you don't overpromise and underdeliver.
So don't do like Elon Musk. Do like the opposite to that.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
You're constantly selling your dream, right? And even though it seems so achievable to you, it's not you that is delivering it. It is you and everyone around you, your team, that helps you deliver it. And so by overselling, you're actually selling everyone else's ability to do that. And they might be under the pump.
Yeah.
So at the start of your business, you find that people just go nuts. I'll give you this and I'll give you that and I'll give you everything you want as long as you work with me. But you soon realize that it's not that easy, and all you get is disgruntled clients.
Yeah. Do you read much? Do you read like entrepreneurial, businessy type books?
I do prefer to read books firsthand from, successful entrepreneurs, but I read a lot through like the news, articles, autobiographies, things like that. I read a lot when I travel too, but I don't have time these days to read like paperback novels.
Yeah.
All of my energy and time goes predominantly into not only work, but the areas that I am interested in. And so I have, really, as you would probably hear from most entrepreneurs these days, or the really successful ones, they spend a lot of time looking into health, meditation, basically mental health, philosophy, the questions that are larger than, how much money do I have in the bank? Why are we here? How can we help? How do we make change? These are the areas that interest me. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I feel that, true happiness comes from that point, not from, how many deals did I close? How many staff do I employ?
Yeah. This whole entrepreneurship space, it can create some cool habits. Like, I don't know, they talk about you need to be in a good mental state. So you might do a bit of meditation. Like, oh, you need to be up early so you can get some work done. So you start going to bed at a reasonable hour. You need to have your diet in check so you can work efficiently. It all helps, not just entrepreneurship, but the whole life, the whole picture.
That's right.
So what's next for you and LOKE Digital? What's in the future?
So we are our two key objectives right now is global accessibility and to create a purely scalable platform. Reduce the amount of time it takes to deliver your product and acquire a client. So I want any business in the world to be able to build their own digital wallet without needing to contact someone from my company.
Yeah, cool.
And so that's what we're doing at the moment.
Awesome. What's your office like there in South Melbourne?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Nylex plastic sign on top of the silos. Yeah. So we've got really cool warehouse under that.
Okay.
So quite a creative space. It's about nearly 500 square meters. And yeah, we try and keep it as cool as possible to make sure that we maintain that culture and that everyone's happy. We have a lot of events that we run there. Pretty fun place to work.
That's cool. Is it like kind of cliche, like you got like ping pong tables and you drink beers and stuff at work? Is that the kind of deal there?
We do. We just recently bought a keginator for the office. So
that's wicked.
Boutique kegs, craft beers, once every couple of weeks. We got my dog, Labradoodle, and my business partner's Groodle, who roam around the office and keep the staff entertained.
That's cool. I like that that's a product of your innovation. Like you started off working with your mate in his bedroom and that's where it's ended up. Now you create your own space. That's cool.
Yeah.
What tips would you have for someone who perhaps has a good idea for an app or some software? They want to get into the space. What would you tell someone like that?
The first thing is when you come up with an idea, i.e. for an app, you're not going to build an app. You're building a business. It's enormous, right? It touches on so many parts. You need to start thinking not only about the idea of what the app does, but your legal, your accounting, your sales, your marketing, your staff, your office, your overheads, right?
Yeah.
And the business plan around this app needs to factor all that in. So if you've got an app and you want to pursue this, don't let it just be an itch, right? Like that once you scratch, you're happy. No, it's not like that. It is embedded in you if you're going to be an entrepreneur. You want nothing more. You do not want to work for someone else. You can only work for yourself because you truly believe in your own ability to deliver. And so a lot of startups fail. And it's because they think it's easy because they're just following an idea and they're creating an application. So the first advice is make sure you're going to go through this to the end. It's not easy. It can take years, and it will be challenging. And then if you're ready for that and you're ready to plunge into the deep end, then I recommend finding a business partner to share the workload with. But if you're, amazing enough to do it on your own, then by all means do it. And if it is a tech company, try and cut in an engineer from the start. If you're building a tech company, your whole business, the heart of your business is based on your code, on your platform. And so make sure an engineer is as invested as you are to that business and build it internally. We built ours with a subcontractor to begin with, so I know what that path looks like. And then we built it internally, and building it internally, factoring in scalability, which a third party won't do for you, means that you won't have to rebuild the product as soon as you would if you were to get it done by a third party.
Yeah. I was going to say, we had an interesting story on the last episode. A guy created an app, Ben Burton, and he spent, I think it was like 30 grand on some Pakistan developers. Yeah. And they basically just built like a front end website, and it took months, and they were like, yeah, it's coming. And it never came, and he just blew 30 grand. Well,
people need to think about it. It's just like, if you were that company selling software and someone's paying you 50K, once that 50K is paid and you've delivered that product, you've got no reason to make sure that software keeps working long term, that it needs to scale out globally. It's not your business. Why would you care?
Yeah.
Right? You're not as emotionally invested as the person that owns the business. So that's why it's really important to make sure you have good team members from the start.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you, Matthew.
Alright guys, that's it for this episode. If you enjoyed the Work to Live podcast, make sure to check us out on Facebook and leave a review and rating on iTunes if you listen on iTunes, and drop us a comment on YouTube. If you have a guest who you think would be interested in being on the show, just go to the Suggest a Guest page on our website worktolive.com.au and we'll be in touch. Bye.